Hello everyone and welcome to week 9 for Comp 1, English 1510 at OCC for the online asynchronous 12-week course. Section A1232, again for the online sections, it's individualized for each week. Couple of things here. Of note, I do have access to the grading platform. I started getting full access, most of access, on November 10th. So I want you guys to understand there are some of the students who have everything, some of the students who have half or 3/4. I am still going through and having to repost some of the things that did not show up on that end. And then for some, I'm having to do the files from start to finish. So it should be the last time that we have anything that's not caught up through this week here. I have, for the memoirs, on the summary and outline and on the rough draft, most students just have a grade posted for credit on those in accordance with the completion on those. And then I'm marking the final drafts with corrections and comments, at least the full first page, as long as there's not a lot of additional items to address. For some students, you really got to look through on those diagnostics. I saw about a third of this class did not review the feedback on their diagnostics. And then regardless of the recommendation, whether it was a YTR 1, 2, or 3, everyone still had to do at least the one session with ASC tutoring. But I did have a number of students, I've had a few students use the tutoring at the ASC, not nearly enough. And then I do have a number of students where it appears on this memoir piece, there's still an abundance of sentence level issues. So I'm going through and marking some of those. But remember, in a Comp 1 like this, especially self-placement and online asynchronous, you're supposed to come to the plate already able to address those things. That sentence level content, I'm not going to be going through and marking line by line that you have spelling, punctuation, mechanical issues like that from start to finish. Memoir should be content and context that I'm reviewing. The main thing with memoir was that it was a 5-paragraph structured essay written in a memoir style that has the story structure with a general to specific intro, body paragraph 1 that tells the story, ends with the complication to be resolved. Body 2 advances the story, ends in the impasse. Body 3 resolves the complication, and then the conclusion tells the lesson that you learned and the moral of the story you want the reader to take away. In this instance, I have several students in the class where you got 7 or 8 paragraphs. I had 1 or 2 that were 10 or 11. I don't know how this resulted from those instructions, and I certainly would have had those, expected those to be addressed even without a summary outline feedback file on there. I don't know how it got to that version of a story, but in any event, I will be posting the remainder of those through this week, and I'm leaving the rewrite for memoir, the final draft. You'll see it all the way up through the end of the month. At the end of the actual class, near the end of the semester, I have that posted up in your guys' upcoming events. The main thing that I marked in there, because some students did have their summary outline back, but I'm not going to make a discrepancy based off of that. I simply did not take away as many points on the final draft as I would have if you had already had feedback on the summary outline. So for everyone, I only took away points in accordance with major things you should have known from the start of the assignment, including if you're self-placing into a Comp 1 in college, I expect the basic grammar, mechanics, punctuation, style to at least be there so that I can read through and understand what your point is on these. And then the main framework of the story, at least with a 5-paragraph structure and that type of an intro and things, those are some basics that certainly should be able to have been followed. Those were repeated throughout each part of this assignment. So on some of those, there are points taken away for those. There will be the opportunity to do a rewrite, as I said, on the final draft, so make sure you watch for those files posting, and over the next 2 weeks or so, you can address those. With the diagnostic, however, I do have the final diagnostic rewrite is due this evening, Monday the 20th. I only have a few students that even I have some students in class that never even reviewed the comments and feedback on the files you do have. Diagnostic rewrites included, and with those tutoring recommendations, I have very few students who did a diagnostic rewrite, even those students who got 5 or 6 out of 10 because of the abundance of issues and not adhering to the guidelines just for the diagnostic portion. That was the very beginning of the semester. With the other pieces here, we got the pieces with the memoir there. If you did not address those and you also haven't utilized tutoring, that really is on you for not adhering to those guidelines and not being prepared for a course that you actually signed up for. Now, having said that, on that summary and outline for memoir, not having that, as I said, I did take that in consideration and not take away as many points as I would have if you had that summary and outline file feedback. All right. And again, most students are going to have a grade credit posted on those. I am nearly finished. I have 7 more to go on these final draft ones to post. On the rhetorical analysis summary outlines, I have right around the same number, I think, to post. Most years I got in there, and you did the right work. Most of you picked very good commercials. So just remember that the availability for the peer edit forum with the discussion board here, that ends on the 20th. The rough draft is due on the 20th, and the diagnostic rewrite are due. Those have been posted up. That was from the prior weeks. In week 8 here, making sure that you have that draft in. You got the rewrite is optional, and then the discussion board. I left that open with no distinction on posting versus reviewing in classmates. Regardless, as it started on that day 2 weeks ago, you do have until the 20th to post it at 11:30 p.m. And then it remains open now as you're doing your final draft. You'll be looking for my feedback on the summary and outline, and you'll be then also reviewing your classmates' peer edit. Remember, to get full credit for both of those, you had to do both the post and the review of classmates. Remember, in last week's, you had videos that you had to watch that were up here in the content file, right? On the left-hand side, we go into these files here. We got the first 2 that were assigned, and now the second 2 are assigned this week with week 9. So on week 8, you had those videos and the introduction of the research topic components. Now this week in week 9, you're submitting those by the 20th, and next week on Monday, the summary and working thesis is due for the research paper. You have to go into that Dropbox, pick a topic, begin with peer-reviewed research. I put some sample articles up here for you guys to review that are that are already peer-reviewed, full text available. And then down here, I listed now the upcoming weeks, so we're clear on this. You got the research paper primary points of support. If you guys do the summary and working thesis correctly and submit it by next Monday, that'll be most of your intro paragraph. Remember to follow all directions on there. The week after, you'll be doing primary points of support with works cited page. Those primary supports, if done correctly, those will serve as your potential topic sentences for the paper and your works cited page. Remember, it all has to be MLA formatted. And then I have the final draft for rhetorical analysis not due until December 6th, Wednesday, December 6th, so that everyone is guaranteed to have enough time to have the review of their classmates' stuff from the peer edit and the review of mine with the posted feedback on the summary and outline for rhetorical analysis before you're even doing that, okay? So here in week 9, you're watching those videos, reading, you're continuing on with peer-reviewed research from the databases. I'll go through that one more time. The portion of the database component, everyone has to make sure these are not the only articles that we're doing. These are just the ones that I put in here as examples. So up here in the drop boxes, these are the ones for this week. Next week, due on the 27th. Research paper summary with working thesis. You're picking one of these topics. You're going to be writing in third person objective only. That means no use of I, no use of you, only talking about the topic itself. That begins with the summary and working thesis. You're going to download this template. That is this template here. Write in full sentences for each category. All work should be in third-person objective viewpoint. If you're saying anything that's giving me information that should be cited, you're going to be given some fact or detail. Give a citation from your preliminary research in this structured layout for this summary and working thesis. And if this is done correctly and all of these categories are completed and you have a complete explicit thesis statement at the end, especially if you have one that at least suggests or refers to the potential supporting statements, which become your body paragraphs, right, the supporting details, you will have the majority of your intro paragraph done with just this. And then the primary points of support with works cited page that's due the week after, those are going to serve primarily as your topic sentences along with the works cited page. And then the week after, you'll do the outline with works citing page and an abstract. The final week of the class, you'll be doing the actual essay. It'll be submitted as a final file. There won't be a peer review for that one. At least I don't have one posted up for you guys at this time. I don't think students want to do another one on here. I've had very little buy-in on the last one. But make sure you follow all these directions. These are the primary components for this week. You download that template and fill it out. Read through all these instructions. These will be in the next Dropbox for next week after this one's done on the 27th. You have to follow all of these different these instructions that come for the base requirements. And remember, for all of these things on the intro quote, give quote, explain, defend quote, the framing of that format and the MLA formatting of a works cited page, those were included in your reading out of the textbook. So I don't want to see submissions and get questions where students are saying, I don't know how this type of thing is formatted. That was already in the reading. There were already examples included there, including a page in your textbook that shows what the works cited page would look like. I have no problem with students using something like EasyBib or NightSight to put those together, but you do have to make sure they're in MLA format. So when you're doing that, this week right now, you're just focused on doing the research. So you're doing week 9 here, where you have these ones as sample pieces. Here's an example of a peer-reviewed full text available article that was through our database. If I were searching for something like this, I would first, I have my title right here. If I were going through to look for something like this on my own, I would go here from my main page and go to Student Services, click on Library. Now, remember, if you took your online readiness course and you also reviewed the videos that I've posted in that content folder for the library and doing research, you should already be familiar with how to navigate through here. Let's say I pick something along the lines of media literacy and I do a general search. When I start with my general search, I'll get a number of results here, and I can even see the basic selection here. It's a page 1, but there are multiple pages because there are a number of results. So on my results that I have at this time, I want to make sure that I filter them for full text available only and peer reviewed, meaning that experts in the field have already read and approved this content. Once I apply those filters, I'll make sure that what remains in my list is not only relevant to my topic, it's been through peer review, and I also know that I can access the full document through my online account. So you should be able to read through these or watch any of them that are videos in terms of documentaries and things. The one thing that I want to note on here is that in some of these on this list, some of these have been giving students issues where it takes you and makes you log in again. If it does that more than once, folks, I would recommend just taking a copy and paste of this title and putting it into the search here in the browser for the library database, and then selecting peer reviewed and full text, and you should be able to find those example ones again. Sometimes it's doing that with the log in, log out. And then if I were to use the one that I showed you guys here, if I pulled this one up and I wanted to cite this for the following week, note here's the article, and if I wanted to put this in my next week's work citation page, works cited, I click on the citation function, MLA 8th edition, and note it's got all the content that I need here, including the DOI. Okay, this is a preview for what you're going to have to include the following week. Everyone should start getting busy on those and reading those. Get your summary and outline, or summary and working thesis done for next week, and then you'll be moving on to your actual primary points of support and work site.